Just a word on the new deals, first of all, Rowan, if you just give us a few words on Nene, first of all. Obviously, it's a long-term deal for him. What's the rationale behind that one from your point of view?
Yeah, we're taking a long-term view to lots of our recruitment and retention decisions. And, there's been a lot of extensions of late of players that not in their last year of their contract, which is pleasing and building for the future. Nene came on an initial 1 year and a 1 year sort of mutual option. So it was an opportunity for a guy that's a long way from home to see if Leeds was going to be the city and the club for him. And from that point of view, it ticked his boxes, and Nene's made a good solid start to his Rhinos career, but we see a lot more in him, and really glad to have him here for the next few years.
I was going to say, how much more do you see there is to come from Nene McDonald?
Yeah, I think there's quite a bit as far as consistency and sort of frequency of those strong performances. Nene's bounced around a lot in his career. He's had some very big highs and been, a real key player in some of the teams he's played in, but he's also had some down periods as well. So this is an opportunity and a commitment from the club and from Nene to really find a home and really, have a strong finish and to his career and live up to the ability that he has on a really consistent basis. He's fit in well. He's well liked amongst the playing group and the fans. So, it's an exciting retention.
Justin Sangare's extended as well, hasn't he? How significant do you feel this one is?
Yeah, I think it is for a young French kid of sort of African descent to move away from home and find a home so quickly in Leeds that he wants to commit his future to. And we see a lot of growth in Justin yet, but he's made a good solid start to his time in Super League with the Rhinos, and probably helping to create another sort of recruitment direction with Mikel Gudemond is a good friend of Justin's, and that no doubt helped that process. And there's been a series of great French players that have played for this club over the years. So perhaps that's another recruitment channel that will continue to build as well.
Squad-wise this week, we won't see the 21 for a couple of hours. Are there any notable, or will there be any notable returnees for Sunday?
No, there's no one back from injury. We've got a little bit of cohesion in our group of late, but we're also missing sort of 4 or 5 players still in our top brigade of players. None of them are sort of back anytime soon.
And you're missing Blake Austin, aren't you, for Sunday? How do you propose to fill that particular gap?
Yeah, we've got a few options that we've trained with this week. We've got a versatile squad, and Blake, we'll miss Blake, but the team's been playing well and Blake's been contributing there. But it gives other people a chance to step forward, particularly on that left edge, to take a bit more responsibility and cover up for Blake's 1 week absence.
And Jack Sinfield's set to play for England Academy, isn't he, tomorrow? Does that rule him out of any contention?
Yeah, Jack's had sort of a bit of a lengthy disruption with concussion from the last Salford match, actually, and then he had his exams, which sort of interrupted his prep and his training a little bit. So Jack will play for England in the academy and build up some consistency and some cohesion with his training in the next couple of weeks, and then he'll be well and truly back into the contention for Super League squad.
As for Salford, the talk of Ackers and Briley and Croft back this week, how does that change the complexion of the challenge?
Salford are a quality team. They play a bit differently to everyone else. They're well coached. So those guys will run their team and express their identity as a team. But regardless of who isn't playing for Salford, they back themselves and they try and beat you.
What is it that they do differently?
Their spine combine. They play together. They move the ball play after play. They move the ball in yardage more than other teams. and they have real threat with it. It's not only the ability to move the ball, but they have threat with it. They work really hard. They compete hard. They're a good team, and they've got their own clear identity.
Leeds play in a similar sort of way, don't they? Or you try at least to play in a similar sort of way. It could be an entertaining fixture on Sunday, couldn't it?
Yeah, I think there's some mutual respect between the two clubs and the way we go about our rugby league, that we're trying to play in a style that people enjoy watching, but it's also effective when executed well. So, we're expecting a really tight, hard fought, expensive, entertaining battle, I would say.
Do you feel you've got some momentum? Do you feel you've got some wind in your sails at the moment, though, after those last two performances?
I think those performances confirm what we knew, and for some people that helps people to feel better. But really, it's what you know, not what you feel. I think momentum's great until it's not there, and momentum can shift quickly. So it's really important that we rebuild each week and restart each contest with the right intention. Start aggressively, start with good discipline, and be prepared to get in the trenches and work hard together. That's momentum doesn't count for anything once kickoff goes.
And we've seen some very impressive starts from Leeds of late. Do you feel like you've got those shaky starts out of your system now? Do you feel like you've got a handle on maybe what it was that wasn't working for you?
Yeah, I don't think many of them were actually shaky starts. It was more that we weren't asserting ourselves. We were kind of in the battle, and a couple of things went the other way, but we weren't actually playing that badly. So we didn't overreact to those, and we're not going to overreact to the good starts that we've had of late. We're going to attempt to start from a clean slate and earn the right to get a result.
Can I just ask you about James McDonald, just because he's been such a steady influence for you this year, and obviously he was predominantly playing in the Championship last year. He's been a Super League regular for you this year. Just your thoughts on how he's gone this year, and maybe whether he's surpassed expectation at all?
Yeah, perhaps he's played a few more games at this point, or a bit more game time than I anticipated. I thought he'd be a regular squad, top 17 sort of player, but he's just found, from my first meeting with James, I felt a humble confidence in him. He's a hardworking guy that does whatever he can for the team. He's had some big moments that have been better than just hardworking. He's got some skill and he's got some real ability to create in attack, but his work rate and his complementary nature of his defence has really supported that right edge when we've played well. He probably hasn't had the accolades, but he pretty much plays the same every week, no matter the team performance, which is what other players want. They want to know what their teammates are giving them, and Macca, he sort of typifies that. He's a reliable bloke that everyone wants to play with.
He initially came on a 2-year deal, didn't he? Has he done enough to sort of be in the conversation with those other extensions?
Yeah, we're working through a bunch of extra extensions, and for those people that are going to be here for long term, it's important that we secure them and get them to feel like Leeds is home.
Just on the extensions, is there a particular reason for this policy of agreeing deals with people that are already under contract or aren't in the final year of the contract?
I think it's important to lock people in that are part of the 3, 4, 5 year journey that we're on here. It's difficult once players are off contract and it's open slather. That's when things can get messy. But in the end, the player also has the right to wait and be on contract if he wants to. But it's a sort of a two-way street there. The players want to stay, they want to secure their future, and we want to do that as well. So a lot of our younger players have earned the right to get an extension and an upgrade on their current figures. So we're happy to do that.
There's obviously quite a number who are in the last year of the contract. What's the situation with those? Are you still working through those? Could we hear any announcements soon?
Yeah, we're still working through. There's a bunch of decisions still to be made. and we'll announce those in time.
Do you know what the timescale on that is? Because presumably that'll affect recruitment and plans for next year, whether these people are here or not.
Yeah, well, recruitment and retention is a sort of simultaneous process. So there's no strict timescale. Next season doesn't start until February, but we know we have to work through those. There's some decisions that are pressing and imminent. Others can evolve in time. And as I've said, those that are off contract have got the opportunity to look elsewhere. Also, that's the nature of the competition and the nature of the system.
You mentioned the French market a little bit earlier. Is that something that you feel Leeds can benefit from or can tap into? I
guess it's not something that you're going to do just because it's you've brought other French guys in that have worked well, but it doesn't hurt for the path to be sort of shaped already. So, players coming from different parts of the world, it's not a bad idea to go back to those places if it's worked previously and players have those connections. So, for Justin, it was difficult. He didn't know anyone coming here, but for Mikel coming next year, it's a smoother transition and a quicker adjustment, perhaps having a familiar face and someone to show him the way.
And just on Sunday, how important do you think this game is? Looking at the table, you could be the 2 points outside the 6 or 6 by the end of the weekend. It seems like a big game from the outside looking in. Is that how you're regarding it?
They're all big games. Clearly, for those that watch the ladder, it's a massive one. But there's a long way to go between now and the end of the season. We're putting huge emphasis on each week because it's the only week. Feels like a long time since our last game, so everyone's eager to get out there and make a good account of ourselves and take another step forward.
Has the long turnaround helped?
It is what it is. The long turnaround. Both teams have. I think they played Friday night last week too. So, although they played Friday, we played Thursday. It's a longish turnaround. It's pretty even Stevens there. It just is what it is. Sometimes it's good. Sometimes you'd rather get out there quicker.
Yeah, I suppose the downside to that is it's a short turnaround to next week.
There's been a bunch of great results on the back of short turnarounds in recent times as well throughout the competition. So it's really about how you recover and how you prepare and the mindset going into the next game rather than how many days you had.
Mate, the full-time interviews last week were great, and we're not getting any in the NRL for the next 2 weeks with players. I just wonder, do you like that theatre, like with Blake getting on the TV and saying, I haven't heard from the CEO and all that sort of stuff, and in the dressing room shot of him talking to Gary? Do you encourage that sort of theatre, or is it annoying?
Personally, I think pre and post game should be, we should be talking about the game that was just, about to be played or the game that was just played. But that's probably the analytical or coaching mind that I have. For those that are looking for entertainment and stuff, maybe it was entertaining, that stuff.
Yeah, and apparently he said on one of those Aussie YouTube channels that there'll be an announcement on his future soon. So does that mean that he's at least been made an offer now?
You'd have to ask Blake about that type of announcement if he's scheduled it to make on social media. I'm not too sure.
Right. I mean, what is the difference? But is it like a Sunday afternoon? Does that sort of figure in your planning? The conditions and all that sort of stuff. Is it different preparing for a Sunday afternoon match than Friday night? Because I guess we don't get as many Sunday afternoon matches anymore.
I think in the earlier months of the season, you can bank on a little bit drier pitch on a Sunday afternoon. But given that it's daylight here until 10 o'clock at night at the moment, that you're playing in daylight pretty much either way, whether you're playing at 8 o'clock or 3 o'clock. Probably a little bit warmer on Sunday, which is, we've been trying to train in the hottest part of the day a few times of late, so that can help prepare.